Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Karenina. On this occasion, I'd like to share some material that may be useful to you in the future. Today, we will discuss a topic called standardized tests, which is about testing or evaluating someone. In the standardized test, there are a definition, the advantage of standardized, the disadvantage of standardized, and the criteria of standardized. We will learn one by one. In the first slide, we will know what is standardized test. A standardized test is a test that administered and assessed by an invariable or standard method. The standard test is designed in such a way that the problems and their interpretations do not change and are given and scored using a predetermined standard method. The standardization test is often referred to as an assessment. Assessment is generally defined as a collection and analysis of information about one or more students. When tests are standardized, this means that a given group of students will take the same test that will be graded and analyzed in the same way. Any test in which the same test is administered by the same method to all participants and is assessed by the same method for everyone is a standardized test. Standard tests do not need high-risk tests, time limit tests, or multiple option tests. Standard tests can take the form of all type of tests like written tests, oral tests, or instant skill performance tests. The question can be simple or environmental. Subject matter among school-age students is often academic expertise, but standardized tests can be administered on almost any topic, including driving tests, creativity, athleticism, character, good ethics, or other attributes. Thus, most of the daily quizzes that and tests taken by students throughout school meet the definition of standardized tests is everyone in the class take the same test at the same time, in the same setting, and all students are graded by their teacher in the same place. However, the term standardized test is most often used to refer to a test given to a larger group, such as tests taken by all persons of any age seeking a license to have a certain types of occupation, or by all students of particular occupations, because everyone encounters the same test and the same evaluation system. Standardized tests are often considered fairer than non-standardized tests. Such tests are often thought to be fair and more objective than systems in which some students get an easier test and others get a more difficult test. Standardized tests are designed to allow reliable comparisons of results across test participants because everyone is taking the same test. However, both universal testing and standardized testing in particular have been criticized by some. For example, some people believe that it is unfair to ask all students the same question in several schools do not have the same educational standards. Next, we will continue about the advantage of standardized and disadvantage of standardized. Okay, the advantage of standardized. Number one, it has a positive impact on student achievement. According to a review of testing research that has been conducted over the past century, over 90% of students have found that standardized tests have a positive effect on their achievement. Students feel better about their ability to comprehend and know subject materials that are present of a standardized test. Even if a perfect score is not achieved, knowing where a student stands helps them be able to address learning deficit. Number two, it is a reliable and objective measurement of achievement. Standardized tests allow for a reliable measurement of student success that is not influenced by local factors. Local schools, districts and teachers may have a vast interest in the outcomes of testing, and the desire to produce a favorable result can create inaccurate test results. Because standardized tests are graded by computers, they are not subject to human bias or subjectivity, which makes them a more accurate reflection of students' success. Number three, standardized tests allow for equal and equivalent content for all students. This means complete evaluations of students from an equal perspective can be obtained. Using alternate testing or exempting children from taking a standardized test creates unique systems, which then creates one group of students who is accountable to their results and another group of students that is unaccountable. It is a system that looks at every child through equal eyes. Number four, a standardized test teach student prioritizations. The standardized test covers core subject materials that students need for success in other subject areas. Without reading, for example, it will be difficult to learn how to write properly. Without mathematics, it will be difficult to pursue scientific concepts. The goal of standardized tests is to cover core subject materials that will help students excel in the other related subjects, giving them the chance to master core curriculum items so they can move on the correlating subjects with greater ease. Number five, it allows school district to discover their good teacher. Good teachers understand that the test preparation drills and specific core instructions to teach a test are not the best way to encourage learning. Repetitions does not produce test score gains, but teaching a curriculum that allows students to explore a subject according to their interests, with teacher guidance, will do so. Test-taking skills and memorizations do not promote understanding, and districts which take these actions continually show low overall standardized testing scores. So, what are the disadvantages of standardized testing? First, or number one, it has not had a positive impact on student education. Science 2002 when the US added more emphasis to standardized testing, it has dropped in global education rankings. From 2002 to 2009, the US went from being ranked 80 in the world in mathematics to ranked 31 in the world. The rankings in science also dropped in a similar way, while reading comprehension remained large unchanged. According to the National Research Council, even incentive programs tied to standardized testing results are not working to improve student comprehension, understanding, and knowledge. Number 2, standardized testing can be predictable. Students who are aware of patterns can determine what the answer to a standardized test could be by only knowing a handful of answers with certainty. This predictability reflects the natural human bias that occurs in the every actions or reactions we have in any individual. It also means test scores can be high without reflecting student understanding. Brookings found that up to 80% of test score improvements in test scores can have nothing to do with long-term learning change. Number 3, they assume that all students start from the same point of understanding. Standardized tests may allow for a direct comparison of data, but they do not account for differences in the students who are taking the test. In the US, standardized tests could be considered discriminatory in some regions because they assume that the student is a first language English speaker. Students who have special needs, learning disabilities, or have other challenges which are addressed by individualized education plan may also be at a disadvantage when taking a standardized test compared to those who do not have those concerns. 4. Standardized tests only look at raw comprehension data. Students learn in a variety of ways. People have many different strengths that may not be reflected in the context of standardized tests. Traits like creativity, enthusiasm, empathy, curiosity, or resourcefulness cannot be tracked by this test, even though they are highly desirable traits in modern careers. A standardized test could determine the knowledge a student has about musical theory, but it cannot judge the quality of compositions that a student might create. Number 5, teacher evaluations have been tied to standardized the results. Many teachers are being evaluated on the work that their students do on a standardized test. Based on the classroom grades achieved, a teacher might receive a rise or be fired from their job. This creates a host of learning problems. For starters, only the students who are performing poorly on testing simulation receive a majority of the attention from the teacher, leaving good students to fend for themselves, begin teach to the test, instead of teaching subject material to obtain needed results. This creates a reduction of higher order thinking reduces complex assignment, and prevent cognitive understanding. Number 6, standardized tests narrow the curriculum. According to the Center of Education Policy from 2001 to 2007, school districts in the United States reduced the amount of time spent on social studies, creative subject, and science by over 40%. This results in the average student losing more than 2 hours of instruction time in these areas so that they can focus on subjects that are on a standardized test, such as reading and math. Number 7, many school districts, especially those with lower test scores, spend more classroom time on test preparation than learning in the curriculum. In 2010, New York City took the extraordinary measure of including 2-hour test preparation session on scheduled school vacation days. So, the advantage and disadvantage of standardized testing show that it can be useful tool for student evaluation, but only when it is used correctly. Like any system, it can be abused by those who are looking for shortcuts. That is why each key point must be carefully considered before implementing or making change to a plan of standardized testing. Okay, the last material about criteria of standardized test. In the criteria of standardized test, there are validity, reliability, and norms. Validity. This refers to appropriateness and meaningfulness of the test. The test should measure what is supposed to measure. Simply, if a test is given to measure learners' ability to use the 4 fundamental operations, the test should consist of items that ask the student to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. If the test items are problems that require analysis and reasoning before using the said mathematical operations, then the test is not valid. A learner who is proficient in the operations but has weak problem solving skill will have a low score. That low score should not be interpreted as the inability to compute. Next is reliability. This refers to consistency of scores that can be obtained from the test. For example, the score obtained by a student from a particular test should be roughly the same as the score that the same student will get when he or she takes the test again. Factors that are not related to the test, such as emotional state and environment should not significantly change the score. Last one, norms. This refers to the comparison of student scores in a test to the scores of reference group of students. A norm that can be followed with confidence results in a good comparison. On the other hand, if the norms of a verbal ability test were based on a reference group composed of native English speakers and if the exam means English in his second language, his score could be compared to the norms established by the test. Summary: the standards lay out a series of general procedures that should take place when develop most kind of tests. 1. Specify the purpose of the test and the inference to be drawn. 2. Develop frameworks describing the knowledge and skill to be tested. 3. Build test specification. 4. Create potential test items and scoring rubrics. 5. Review and pilot test items. 6. Evaluate the quality of items. Okay, that concludes the material's explanation of the standardized test. I sincerely hope that what I have described is clear to you all. I appreciate you reading this. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.